These ways of knowing are also prevalent in President Trump's decision to ban several countries from entering the US. The travel ban was an executive order put in place on January 27th, stopping citizens of Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen from entering the United States for 90 days, while Trump was getting accustomed to the presidency. This turned out to be a very controversial order and was ruled unconstitutional in the federal courts. As a result, Trump has passed and revised an order that excludes Iraq. What is different now is that the citizens of the United States may return from those countries, and those with green cards may also enter the United States. In addition, Syrian refugees, who are mainly Christian, may also come into the United States. However, the rest of the citizens of the six countries may not enter. However, when looking at the decision from an ethical standpoint, the revised order is still very unethical. The United States is founded on the idea that all people are created equal, yet the president is isolating specific countries and refusing them the right to enter. One of the arguments is that logic plays a major role in President Trump's decision. Countries banned were countries of concern. These were on a list that were being monitored in Obama's presidency. Trump just took a further action and banned them temporarily for the safety of the United States, as his victory caused uproar in the US and around the globe. He was using logic in trying to prevent another attack from the enemies of his campaign. These kinds of attacks that he was trying to prevent were those like 9/11 when the Saudi Arabians attacked the World Trade Center. Since then, national security has become a priority for many people, including Trump. This was just a step up from Obama's policies. The countries that Trump chose were considered safe havens for terrorists. However, what's interesting to note is that the main terrorists that caused the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center are not from either of the six countries that are left on the travel ban. Trump used logic and is consistent with his campaign policy where he wants to eradicate the radical Islamic terrorist who the logic behind President Trump's executive order is that he does not want to fight terrorists on American grounds if his army is fighting them overseas in another country. However, most of the terrorist attacks that have been in the United States since 9/11 have been caused primarily by American citizens. For example, the attacks in San Bernardino, Fort Lauderdale, and Orlando were all caused by American citizens attacking other Americans, either by shooting them or by creating other massacres of some kind. In addition, 9/11 was caused by a majority of Saudi Arabians. However, they are not even on the list of the travel ban, which seems illogical if President Trump was using logic primarily to create this order. In addition, the fear of future attacks may appeal to emotion as they do to logic. In fact, every terrorist attack that has happened in history has gone down as a fatal event. The largest one that all Americans remember is 9/11. This was when two hijacked planes crashed into the World Trade Center, and a third one was taken back by American citizens and crashed into a field rather than the Pentagon. When deciding who got banned, Trump used his emotions to decide who was the most threatening countries and appealed to American citizens' need for security. This was all due to Muslim terrorist attacks on 9/11, so the majority of the countries that he banned from coming into the country were Muslim. As a result, President Trump appealed to the mass population's emotions by staying true to his campaign promises of putting America first and trying to get rid of terrorism in the world. The terrorist groups that he's trying to fight off include ISIS and Al Qaeda, two of which have constantly been attacking throughout the world. His emotions about terrorism allowed him to believe that his decision was justified and the people of America followed because they're just as afraid of terrorists as he is. This may relate back to DeVos and her argument for guns against grizzly bears, as President Trump is trying to appeal to the popular vote, whereas DeVos was trying to appeal to her interviewers that would give her a position in President Trump's cabinet. In conclusion, both logic and emotion play major roles in decision making, as they influence the way that people think and the process that they go through before making their final decision. However, logic plays a greater role in the majority of the decision making. For example, Pruitt understood that it was necessary to take a stance against climate change for his job. Although he did appeal to the people's emotions by acknowledging that climate change did exist, Pruitt, in the end, decided that he was going to stand with President Trump on the fact that humans do not cause climate change and or global warming, because it was the best thing for him to do for his job. He used many logical fallacies in creating his opinion. However, through logic, he decided that was the best stance for him. Secondly, Trump was using logic in deciding which countries he was going to place on his travel ban. He decided that the countries that were a threat in the past and currently pose the biggest threat by hosting terrorists such as ISIS and Al Qaeda were those that he needed to ban from coming into the country. By using logic and having the final goal of trying to prevent another terrible incident, Trump decided that the countries to place on the executive order would be those that were on the countries of concern list and that harbored the most amount of terrorists on their land. In relation to our first example, Pruitt understands that it's necessary to take a stand with the new president in order to become a cabinet member. DeVos used a similar strategy in answering her question that she needed guns in the schools because President Trump was an advocate for the Second Amendment and she wanted the job under his command. In addition, she used logic in a similar fashion as President Trump, as he signed the travel ban to protect the country, and she was agreeing to let guns be in school to protect the school children from grizzly bears. Both of them used one major example to make their arguments right, where Trump used 9/11 and Betsy DeVos used one small elementary school in the middle of a country of grizzly bears to make it sound like every single school in every location needed guns to protect themselves. In this fashion, logic is the primary way of knowing when it comes to making decisions. However, some people may argue that emotions influence decision making more than logic does, as they're the primary reason why we have doubts and why we need to fix something about our society. For example, it may be viewed that emotion was the driving force behind each decision in this area of knowledge, as it involved humans and desire. Some growing up in the countryside may view these examples as justified without even needing any background analysis, as they have patriotism in their blood and they own guns. So it just seems logical to have them in schools and to have them to fight off the terrorists. They may experience animal threats firsthand, whereas those living in the city don't have that background to where they need guns in their schools, and it'll just result in a massacre such as that in Columbine in the 1990s. On the other hand, an immigrant may use their emotion to view Trump's ban on Muslims as unfair because all humans are created equal and they should have equal rights to enter a free country for a better opportunity. If they fled their country to come to America and live a better life, other people from around the world should be allowed to have the same opportunities.